Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website JFA49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Yes, welcome into a Friday episode 259. If you are keeping track at home, which we know you are, thank you for watching on YouTube, the best way to watch. Everyone locked in with the hashtag JD49. Smash the like and subscribe, as Don't Bother Me has done. And Don't Bother Me hits us up on Sports Data Nation. I salute you, man, for that as well. Man, so the level of excitement, it is as if the preseason is over and we're like playing real games, is almost, I have to tell my body, no, that's not what's happening. We are well into the season, body, get it together. But the return of Brock Purdy is like, got me feeling some type of way. Johnny, good morning.
Good morning. You know, what I can't figure out is why the camera gives an illusion that my mic is farther away from me than it is. Sorry,
These are
that's
the inner thoughts of
this is the inner thoughts of what happens
during
the intro, because right here my face is actually level.
What in the
even
Sports
with the
Nation
mic
are you talking about?
But it looks like it's farther away. I don't understand why that happens. Anyways, yeah, today we have the return of the Brock. The 49ers offense is actually the healthiest.
And Ricky Pearsall looking good, running routes, like, you know, that
Yeah,
film,
the 49ers offense is the healthiest it has been all year. All year. It only took us until halfway through November to get more healthy, to recover from training camp, but which we still haven't fully recovered from training camp. Jacob Cowing's still out.
Yeah,
with his like 18th torn hamstring. Look,
I don't mean to laugh.
This is his fifth he's on his fifth hamstring injury. But Ricky Pearsall looks like he's coming back. We got Juwan Jennings looks like he's no longer limited in practice. I'm sure he's still a little banged up, but Ben Barch is back. With him and Spencer Burford are kind of having this rotation at left guard. We have Brock Purdy is back. We have Jordan Watkins is back out there. So, and they're working him back into the lineup, which is difficult at this point in the year. But we have Demarcus Robinson playing. This is the healthiest the team has been all year. If you even go back to week 1, remember the receiver core for Brock Purdy, the healthy receiver core at the end of that game was Ricky Pearsall, and that was about it.
Then you
had MVS was on the team, but he was cut 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
You had Sky Moore, and that was about it that you had as far as receivers. Juwan Jennings was injured in that game. Yeah. So, this is, and then at the end of the game, George Kittle was out. He didn't even finish that game. So this is the healthiest the 49ers offense has been, which is the time of year we've been talking about this for a while, that we needed the offense to get healthy. They need to stay healthy. but they needed to get healthy and help out this young defense. This defense has a lot of youngsters, a lot of people being pressed into service that you weren't counting on 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And now you have to. So you've got to be able to pick it up for your defense, be able to win some shootouts as things go down the stretch, because the defense is just not up to par. You can't expect this defense to hold teams to 20 points a game.
Right.
So you've got to score 27, 28 plus to win a lot of your games from here on out.
So a lot of things to get into. I want to continue talking about Brock Purdy, but two things from Jim Cushman to double check here. We're only missing BA and Cowing as far as the receivers. And then he says, when was the last season that we didn't hit our RB3 before Thanksgiving? That's a good point. But yeah, I think BA and Cowing and BA, right? As far as receivers, and we would be like full bore, right?
Yeah. Cowing and BA, yeah, your receivers are the only ones that you're really down right now. Trying to think back through and just make sure in there that there's nobody we're missing. Yeah, it's 2023 because that was the Super Bowl year. Christian McCaffrey was on an MVP pace.
Oh.
Now running back number 2 was actually our running back number 3, because Elijah Mitchell, we lost him very early on, and then he came back for a little bit because he had 2 MCL sprains that year.
See, I almost don't count that then. Like, that's why I would go back even further before 2023 because of that. Like,
right.
It's been a while
2022, we were down Elijah Mitchell early in the year, and then we were kind of this rotation of different guys. Jeff Wilson was in there. Ty Davis Price is getting a handful of carries. Jordan Mason was a little bit in 2022. Glass City's in for the live. He's usually coming in commenting well after the show. He's made it in for a live show. Good to see you, Glass.
Yeah, of course, always Glass.
But that year then we traded for Christian McCaffrey, and then Christian McCaffrey finished out the season. So that one, not so sure on that. Now, all the years before that, it was like running backs were just put through the meat grinder, and we just kept feeding the next one in as the season went. But 20, it's odd to think about because of some of the injury history of Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's been our most durable running back in the Shanahan era.
It's just weird to think. We'll give Glass that homework. So in case you just got here, Glass, the question was, when was the last time?
Why are we giving him the homework?
Hey, because he's awesome. So when was the last time we didn't hit RB3 before Thanksgiving? And Johnny said 2023. But that's got a weird asterisk on it because we still had an injury to a quarterback that shifted the
running back.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, and Glass might know just off of memory, but chime in. Let's chime in on the chat. But let's talk more about Brock Purdy, because I want to talk about. I talked to you about this right before the show, like realistic expectations of Brock Purdy. This toe is a weird situation. It can reoccur in like the snap of a finger, and it's something that can be just bad moving forward for the rest of his life. It's just this weird thing. Turf toe, we know, is just weird.
Remember, this isn't normal turf toe. This isn't like this isn't what Joe Burrow had.
I think of Deion Sanders.
It's not the Deion Sanders situation. Because you have different ligaments that are there, and this isn't the one on the bottom of the foot. So I'm trying to find a good diagram of this because I wasn't planning on talking about it, but trying to find a good diagram of the foot that we can see to kind of illustrate this, because it's not the one that Joe Burrow had. Joe Burrow, you have a tendon underneath your foot or toe, big toe, and that's what Joe Burrow had, and that one required surgery. Brock's is on the side of his toe.
Jim, is it diet turf toe?
No, it's not diet turf.
Less calories. It's less calories, right? Like you
I
can
would
still go out
say
to
it's
eat.
maybe monk fruit turf toe. It's similar
Uh,
to sugar, but it's not.
it's
It's
Splenda.
not. It doesn't have as many
It's
calories.
Splenda.
Um,
Oh
Look,
Lord.
I think Brock learned after the Jacksonville game, and credit to Larry Krueger for asking about it because um, Larry was the first one on this that said Brock was sailing his passes in practice with that turf toe, and Brock, and he specifically asked Brock about that in the post game presser or the post presser. Was that affecting you? Was that causing you to sail some passes? And Brock kind of stopped, and you could see he was thinking about it. He goes like, I don't even know. Honestly, hadn't really thought about that part of it. Because Brock is somebody who his instant reaction isn't to say, well, my toe was causing me to throw it a little high. He's sitting there going, man, I got to hit those passes. And I think that did make Brock reevaluate where things were. There was a re-aggravation of it in that game. He did try and come back too quickly. And so in this one, it's okay. I need to be able to get through this, not have any pain, so that there's not things that my body is doing just instinctually that's causing me to not throw the ball how I normally do, because that did hurt the 49ers. There was specifically the throw, the pick towards Christian McCaffrey. That was an overthrow, and he was putting his receivers in some precarious situations, close to some hospital balls of balls sailing high and just missing some throws. And so, it was okay. I want to be back out there, but me not being 100% healthy and being kind of erratic with throws is not good for the team. So thankfully, Mac did play well in his stead. And he went 5-3. So now Brock is back out there, and it's at a good time because you really have a chance against this Cardinals team to have a real get right game. Now you have to be careful that you don't blow like if you win really convincingly like you did against New York, that the team gets too high and is like, yes, we are here, we figured it out. So yeah.
Hey, so we have right on cue from Cayman's Island podcast. What is up, sir? He says, do you feel there's a scenario where there could be an offseason quarterback controversy if Brock struggles badly? I think he's going to ball out. I think he's going to ball out too. And I don't think that I'll say first, Johnny, I don't think so because of the money and what they've invested in him, what they've told him. If he struggles, they'll look at the injury, they'll look at things, but there's no controversy to me. What say you?
Well, so I, from the 49ers standpoint, yes, there's no controversy. This is Brock's team. This has been Brock's team.
Yeah.
And they have paid him. He is going to be quarterback number one. A big shout out to Cayman's Island podcast. Go check out his show. He's got it. The name is not just being coy. He really does have the Cayman's Island podcast there. Click on his icon and it will take you straight to his YouTube page where you can like and subscribe and check out it. He talks 49ers as well. We all love the 49ers. We love hearing about the 49ers. We love talking 49ers. It's another show to get you on board with. So as far as the organization, I think the big thing he's looking at is among fans and among pundits and among all the talking heads like myself and Adam and other people. Now, for me, there's no quarterback controversy. You have 2 years of Brock Purdy, really 2.5 years of Brock Purdy playing at a high level. And even 2024, Brock was still playing at a high level in a lot of ways. If you look at the last 6 games of 2024, the state of the roster that the offense was at that point in the season is nowhere close to what Mac Jones has even been playing with during his 8 games, because the offensive line was decimated. Austin Pleasance got a start. Okay. that was not pleasant by any stretch of the imagination.
I
We
see
were
what you
on
did there.
Isaac Guerrero as our main bell cow running back, who is probably fourth on the depth chart as far as running back usage. I know that Jordan James hasn't been active and Guerendo's been active, but that's been for special teams because Guerendo is a gunner he plays kick coverage with that 4-3 speed. They want that 4-3 speed there for kick coverage for special teams and can be an emergency running back. But if it came down to, Brian Robinson went down or Christian McCaffrey go down, Jordan James is probably sliding into that number 2, that main primary backup role, as what I would assume going forward. Isaac Guerendo was not good last year. He was explosive in the passing game, but as far as his assignments and everything, it was really inefficient. The receiver corps was really decimated, and Debo, we've seen, like, even when he's gone to the Commanders, has dealt with health issues throughout the year and has struggled separating against man coverage. There's buzz out of Washington right now that the Commanders made a big mistake in trading for Debo Samuel. He's special when he has the ball in his hands, but it's been getting harder and harder over time to get the ball in his hands. So when you look at the state of the roster as it was when that Brock was playing with the last 6 weeks of the year, it was worse than what Mac Jones has had. And so, and that's why Juwan Jennings had a nearly 1,000-yard season with Brock. He's nowhere close to that right now. George Kittle had the best season of his career. You didn't really have much outside of that.
He's not getting younger.
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall was struggling running the right routes because dude got shot and everything. So, like, even at the end of the year last year, Brock was still playing at a high level. There's no quarterback controversy here. I don't think he's gonna have this, fall apart sort of thing, because Brock's game is really built around how quickly he gets the ball out, how he finds the right receiver, how he works through progressions. And so those are things that I don't think he just loses. Don't just really lose that sort of edge there as time goes. I mean, look at Joe Flacco. That was always one of his strengths. And dude, at 41 years old, went on to the Bengals and started balling out and throwing for over 400 yards. Joe Flacco was like, he can still do that. And Tom Brady did it until he was in his 40s, well into his 40s. So, what Brock does really well doesn't there's no sort of the clock is ticking on this ability running out, or it can be physically hampered, but he does bring a little bit more mobility when he's healthy. And we see that. And that has really been missing from this team. But, even when you look at just the processing side, I went over a number of plays yesterday with Rob on our show that showing Brock and Mac and what Brock can do and how he moves through progressions more efficiently, quicker, more streamlined than Mac. That isn't to say Mac is bad. Brock is just in the elite category in that sort of realm. And I don't think that's going to be something that he comes back and we go, oh, okay, well, he's just, he can't do that anymore.
So the bottom line is we're really stoked. We inside the faithful, we know that there's no real controversy. That's for Dan Orlovsky and guys like that who,
okay.
who don't
did
have enough time.
Did you listen to John Lynch on KMBR yesterday?
Not yesterday.
Okay, so I will say John Lynch had maybe one of the most inadvertent or maybe advertent tosses of shade at Dan Orlovsky in a while, because so they asked him on KNBR yesterday. They said, okay, John, do you think that what do you think about different people who say that maybe you should just keep rolling with the hot hand? This has been a thing that a number of people have said. Tom Brady said it. Richard Sherman has talked about it, and Dan Orlovsky has mentioned it. And John Lynch goes, well, those guys, they have their opinions. It's kind of like everything. Everybody's got their own opinions of things. And yeah, I mean, all those guys played at a really high level. Well, two of those guys played at a really high level. Tom Brady played at a really high level. Richard Sherman played at a really high level. Dan Orlovsky, he talks at a really high level. And I was like, no way. He did not just say that. Um, and so that just made me think about that. I was like, dang. I mean, it's true, but
Right.
dang.
Running
So
backwards in the end zone while Jared Allen celebrates.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so, thank you, Big Tone 7078. Dieter points out that Mac is one red. True or no?
I would say sometimes true, yeah. And if anybody goes back to Gold Standard podcast yesterday, I think it was around the 30-minute mark, the 32-minute mark. I went over this. I was showing a play. I don't show it here because it will be demonetized automatically when I do that stuff. That's Rob's got a private sponsor for those shows, so that works a little bit differently. We can do a little bit more film breakdown there, but on these ones, I try not to do the film as much now because it gets demonetized instantly when you show some game film. But what I showed was there's a concept we've been running for years. It goes back to the very first game that Brock played in, which really got some healthy playing time. And when he came in for Jimmy G versus the Dolphins, and it's this 4-strong spot concept, snag concept. I believe Kyle calls it snag. It's going to be 4-strong snag, but you run a backside slant on the single receiver side. The 4 receiver side, you're running a snag concept or spot concept, which is spot route, corner route, and a flat route with a lead blocker. We do it kind of like a swing pass. And that's always been one of Brock's strongest plays because he's such a quick processor on it. And with the way it works is you get a 1 and 1, 2, 3. So it's almost like an alert on the single receiver side. You're going to check and see, did they roll coverage completely to the 4 receiver side to keep a 5/4? And so if they do that, then you can hit the backside. And so it's always a peak. And so it's just a peak. You need to, it really does operate more like an alert, but it's like a peak. And then, if they've either dropped a defensive end, which a number of teams have done, the Steelers ended up dropping 8 into coverage and they dropped TJ Watt into that slant zone. And so that was an adjustment they made to deal with that play. Was that if they saw a motion to a 4-strong, then the backside outside linebacker was going to drop. So that's a check that Mike Tomlin puts in there. So they drop TJ Watt and Brock looks at it and then he works. And against the Dolphins, we ran this play 3 times. In the first play, Brock hit the spot route. The second time he hit the corner route. The third time he hit the swing pass, because each time a different one was open, but he was working through the progressions. And the first time we ran the play, he hit the slant. So he hit the slant first, then they took away the slant and he hit the spot. Then the next time we ran it, they took away the slant, they took away the spot, and he hit the corner route. And then it was, and that's how it went. And so he was operating the progressions. We ran that play against the Giants. And the way Mac ran it was 1 to the slant and then 3 to the swing pass. And the spot was open. So it should have been 1, 1, 2, 3. And he went 1, 3. And he skipped over 1. When Brock ran that play versus the Steelers, he went 1 to the slant and then boom to the spot, and he hit Christian McCaffrey. And he had a guy like literally right in his lap. He's falling back as he throws, but it was open and he got it there. And against the Steelers, it's an 8 or 9 yard gain. Against the Giants, because they had rolled towards Christian McCaffrey in the flat, that it was like a 1 yard loss. And so that's a 9-10 yard difference on a single play.
The blocking was really bad on that. Wasn't that one that you highlighted too, where it's like
it wasn't as much a blocking issue. No, it wasn't a blocking issue.
Maybe that was a different play. Maybe that was
a different play. I mean, they had a 3-on-2. So, one blocker takes out one guy and you still have 2-on-1 versus Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So, it's just an example. And I've seen things like that. It's like Mac will sit there and go 1 and then check down. And that's one of the reasons you're seeing Christian McCaffrey get so many targets, is that Mac is so quickly moving to the check down. And that can make you a little bit more efficient as far as completion percentage, but you end up in more third downs. You just do. Because you're going to end up with some shorter throws. Brock is willing to work the intermediate a little bit more, and he works deep, and there's better eye manipulation. So I mean, that isn't to say Mac doesn't make some really high-level throws down the middle and anticipation throws and layered throws. I've seen some really good stuff from Mac. Mac just really does tend to be, if it's not there first, he'll go 1 to 3. Getting to 2 is spotty with him. So I think Dieter does have a point on that.
Jim, Adam. Another quick super chat, and I'm really showing the love on this one. Bow, 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 bow.
I think that horn is a little loud this morning, Adam. Can you turn that down? Because it's really loud in my headphones. I'm assuming it's really loud on their end.
I made it a touch louder for this one in particular because of how much I agree that just for the love, Glass City says, Johnny Dell's the only person you should trust with any sort of evaluation. Just saying. So you did hear it here first. Yeah, you heard it here first. Couldn't agree more. So yeah, and Cayman's Island podcast says these are the conversations you don't see anywhere else. I learn something new every time I watch this show. So this is exactly why I love being a part of it. This is the whys and the hows, talk through different route trees and why Brock is actually literally better than Mac Jones, and no shade at Mac Jones. I mean, has done phenomenal for sure, but that is what we like on this channel. So make sure you have taken your phone and shown it to people in Niners gear, the Johnny Dell Football Academy, and hit the notification bell. I want to move to something that I think is pretty interesting here, because the Arizona Cardinals, they are depleted. They're not very good, even if they weren't depleted. They are 18th in the league in rushing defense, giving up over 114 yards per game on the ground. What does that mean for us?
I think what it also that's we have to be careful on that. They're about middle of the pack in a lot of things on defense, and some of that is because they have struggled with efficiency on offense. When we look at just the bare matchup, we're not that different than the Cardinals. It just as far as the production so far, I do think that there is a clear difference, and I think the biggest advantage we have is our offensive play designer and play caller is elevates talent beyond even where it normally is, and can help us overachieve. So if you look at points per game, they actually average 0.4 points per game more than we do. They're 20th in the league. We are 23rd in the league. Point differential. We have only scored 3 more points versus our opponents than they have. We're minus 10. They're minus 13. So, the as far as point differential, it's almost dead even how many points what it's been that we've scored in difference from our opponents. The difference is we're 6-4, they're 3-6. That's what goes.
They've lost some heartbreakers. They have lost. I think at one point it was 4 games by a combined 9 points. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, their record
truly is ridiculous.
Yeah, so they've played 9 games. They've been in 7 close games.
Yeah, if it was the Chiefs, they'd be undefeated.
Yeah, and I mean their record in close games is 2-5. Ours is 4-1. Yeah. Turnover differential, they're +3. They're 11th in the NFL. We are -8. We are almost dead last, and a lot of that just really has to do. The defense is not creating turnovers. Right. Since Fred Warner has gone out, like the turnovers have stopped. Fred was like the only guy creating turnovers because he was punching the ball out. Nobody else has been able to really create turnovers. Diamador Lenore had the 1 pick against Houston, but that's been our only pick this year. And so, if the defense really wants to help itself out, they got to get some more turnovers. But those things have come dead last. So when you look at all of that, and then penalties, both teams have had 61 penalties this year. Dead even. So these teams are a lot closer matched, I think, when you look at their production than maybe we would even like to really think about. I mean, overall rushing efficiency, we're 14th in the league. They are 16th in the league. Overall passing efficiency, we're 27th, they're 21st. They're not good at protecting the quarterback. We're really bad at getting to the quarterback. So, they're in a lot of ways, these two teams are more evenly balanced. And if you look at the point spread right now, the 49ers are 3-point underdogs. How that's happened, I don't know. But is what it is.
Weird. So I look for Christian McCaffrey to have a good game, honestly, like over 110 yards rushing, I think. And not just because he's my fantasy running back and has got me going pretty well this year, but I just think they want to help Brock. And by doing that, you hand the ball off. And especially when you have an offensive player of the year, you know, it's crazy. The guy gets injured, gets offensive like juggernaut player player of the year, gets injured, comes back, and then just does the same thing. You look at what Saquon is doing, it is nowhere near the production of Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
okay,
mean, you're starting to see this shift throughout some defenses and offenses of back to defending the run. You're seeing that a little bit more. You're seeing some more big bodies start to come in along the defensive line. And teams being you're seeing more run blitzes than you saw before. So, that's some of it. I do think getting some of these receivers back who understand the blocking assignments a little bit more and getting them healthy is going to make a big difference. Our receiver blocking has still been terrible. It's just not good. We Ricky Pearsall has a lot of intent and a lot of heart to do it. So I believe in Ricky. And he started to really come along in that regard down the stretch last season. I do think that Ricky will help as a blocker because he understands the assignments, number one. That's been a problem. Two, he has the 49ers culture of the way that 49ers receivers block. Demarcus Robinson's been up and down on it. Kendrick Bourne has been mostly down. Sky Moore, not great. Those things really do hurt how you can run the ball. We're really big on running outside the tackles and getting edge. And so when teams are clogging up everything from between your B and C gap, you've got to be able to run outside the tackles. Teams are literally blitzing our B gaps all the time. And it's run blitzes, and it's really making life hard for the offensive line. It's making life hard for Christian McCaffrey. We are 32nd in running outside the tackles. We've had moments where it's gotten better and then it's gotten worse. And so, like last game against the Rams was a bad game in that regard. It needs to be better. And JJ's blocking this season has been up and down, mostly down. It's not what it's been in the past. Now he's been dealing with 5 bruised ribs and a shoulder and an elbow. Like he's been really banged up in the calf all year. So I do give him a little bit of pass on that regard. He's also dropped a lot of passes, and he's not meant to be that number one receiver. He's a contested catch guy. When you're really banged up and you don't have options to spread the field out, those contested catches become even more contested. But we've got to get some better wide receiver blocking. I do think Ricky Pearsall will help with that. I really do. I really liked, especially his rookie year, how he was coming along at the end in his wide receiver blocking. He was really buying in, and the effort was there. He needed to work on some technical side of it, but the effort was there. The assignment, like knowing your assignments, because sometimes it's going to be the second level backer, sometimes it's going to be the safety, sometimes it's going to be the corner, sometimes it's going to be the D end. It just depends on the front and coverage you get. So like that should really help. We've got to get better than 32nd in the league in rushing outside the tackles. We do that, you will start seeing this 49ers run game, as it has looked in the past, start to be there a little bit more. And that then will set everything else up. It's kind of, this is a domino effect, and we've been trying to throw it to loosen up for the run. And you just, when you have those moments where it is loose and you still can't get it, that's when it's really hard to start setting things up and get a cohesive offense. And that's why it seemed a little disjointed at times. Mac Jones has been playing really well and efficiently, but we're still not getting the explosiveness that we need. We do need that speed in the wide receiver area. When you look at like 40-yard dashes of George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, Christian McCaffrey, there's nobody that's there that's going to just burn through, be able to catch that on the run and just take off and they're gone. That was what Deebo Samuel was really good at when he was there, is that you had an Ayuk that could break you out of man coverage. Ayuk and Kittle and CMC, these were guys that were tough to beat with man. And then you go zone, and now you have a better ability to get the ball into Deebo's hands, and he can then take it with his hands and go. And you have a quarterback dicing everybody up. You don't have that, and you're trying to figure out who's going to be the guy that I can hit that 10-yard in breaker to, and he's going to turn it into 50 yards and to score. That's the challenge right now of who's going to be in that role. Ricky can be that. We've seen that he has the speed to be able to take that catch and go score a touchdown. We saw that last year against the Buccaneers, his first career touchdown. That's what happened. We saw that at the end of the year versus the Lions, that ability to get some of those catches where he's coming through the zones and boom, get it and take it off and go. And then if you can beat man coverage and you get everybody rolled one way, you can get it in his hands and he can go make 30 yards out of it. We need some more explosiveness in this offense. We're trying too often to have to score from inside the 15. It is really hard to score inside the 15. Red zone scoring percentage is one thing, like that doesn't necessarily reflect how efficient you are from like 15 yards and in. When a team scores from 22 yards, that's more ideal for them because you have more space. So you'd like to score when you're at the 22-yard line. You would like to score there. We haven't had the explosiveness to do that. So we're kind of inching it down, and then you get even more and more congested as you get closer to the goal line, and then it becomes really hard to score. And so we haven't. That's one reason we haven't put up as many points. Is we're just not as explosive. We're not getting some of these chunk gains. We're not scoring from farther out.
We've had issues with that no matter what the situation is as well.
Except for 2023.
Honestly, well,
except for 2023.
Yeah,
but remember, it was 2 years ago. That was the last time we had a really healthy offense. So if we go back to 2023 and think about some of those games, like think about the Steelers game, the very first touchdown we scored was a double post to Ayuk, and we were at the 22, 20-yard line. We're on that edge, right? Because you're still able to spread the field out a little bit more, and you have some explosive playmakers with speed who can spread the field out a little bit more. When you look at the next touchdown or one of the other touchdowns, it was Ayuk on what's his butt corner used to play for the Cardinals, Peterson, PP, Patrick Peterson.
Yep.
He hit him. It was a go ball, and I believe we were on the 25 or 26, so it was right there on the edge. But you're able to score, throw the ball down in there. We have number of scores versus the Commanders last year. When I remember back to that game, that were from the 20 to 28 yard range. We were scoring more from that range. Where right now, when you're at the 25 yard line, like who's believing that we're getting into the end zone on a 25-yard touchdown pass when we hit the 25-yard line? I don't think anybody's worried about that. So that is where some of that, like we're getting more trips into the red zone than we have in years past. And that's where some of this red zone scoring percentage goes down. We're scoring fewer points because we're kicking more field goals, and we have been for the last 2 years. You got to get some explosiveness in there to be able to, when you get a little crease, to be able to get it and go.
Hey, at least we have a field goal kicker. Quick little side note. All right, so I want to literally flip it, and let's talk about Arizona on the ground. Before I do, want to mention again, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Take your phone, show it to Niner fans, show them the channel, pick out one of your favorite videos. You cannot tell me you don't have a favorite video of that Johnny's put together. Again, just from a couple years ago, the one about Brock being MVP, and why that's not so laughable, and just the film that he puts together and explains everything. Another quick super chat coming in from Cayman's Island Podcast says, I feel like we'll be 4-0 over our next 4 games, but the last 3 will be much more challenging. Is it bad to hope Seattle rests players come week 18? So, Cayman's Island Podcast, you said last show that Seattle will be resting people. So, we'll see how, honestly, as a football fan, I am intrigued for. I know I'm pretty sure it's at the same time that we're playing, so I'll definitely have to catch highlights. But Seattle plays LA, if I'm not mistaken, and that, as a football fan, truly is going to be, I think, a good game. And we'll see. It's in LA, but we all know LA does not have like a home field advantage really, and other teams travel really well usually. So I'm sure there'll be a ton of Seattle fans. Um, so I don't know what I think we'll be 4-0 for sure with the next 4. And the next, I agree, the last 3 will be more challenging. The
Oh
Bears,
yeah, I mean,
it's a weird deal with throwing the Bears in there because they've been winning some weird ways where they normally lose. So I'm not
yeah.
as confident. And Indy, I'm glad that Brock's back. I'm excited to go to that game, but that's the one game where I'm like, okay, if you chalk up an L to the Colts, I'm not going to be mad, other than I have to be in that stadium and see all the bandwagon Colts fans. There's no such thing as a Colts fan, by the way. There's only bandwagon. That's how it works. Because once Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, they're like, oh, they went back to underwater basket weaving or looking at the leaves change or doing other things on Sundays. So that's my take on the Colts. But
Honestly, looking when you come into, there's a pathway to be coming into that game where both the Seahawks and 49ers are at 10 wins. I mean, for
oh,
real.
big
There
time.
really is.
Yeah, no
And
question.
so the Seahawks don't have necessarily just an easy cake schedule coming out. I mean, they play the Rams this Sunday. Now then they're going to go stomp the Titans, like everybody gets the bye week with the Titans. Um, then they play the Vikings, who are no pushover, and that's always an interesting battle there with Flores and McDonald, as far as those are I think the 2 biggest innovators on defense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
then they have the Falcons, which again, the
You don't
Falcons
know
are
what
a team.
Falcons
You
team.
don't know what Falcons team is going to show up. It could be the one that showed up against the 49ers and Seattle just rolls through them. It could be one of their better teams, and then they show up and
Beat
they
the
can
Bills.
take down the Seahawks. Yeah,
They-
that beat the Bills. Then you got the Colts, who seem to be right now one of the Super Bowl contenders.
yeah.
So they have the Colts after that. Then they play the Rams again, and
You
so those
figure a
2 teams are
split.
gonna have to
Yeah.
are gonna have to battle it out. So there's a pathway here for the Seahawks to be a 10-win team coming into the final game of the year, and it comes down to, I mean, really, like, this race in the NFC West is a lot tighter than it even seems. Um,
Yeah.
the Seahawks are both 7-2, so they have 8 games left, both of them. Um, the 49ers are 6-4. We have 7 games left. We still have a bye, and it's very, very possible that we end up 10-4 coming into the last 3 weeks of the year. It's very possible that the Seahawks are
Crazy.
10-4 in the last 3 weeks of the year, where they play the Rams, the Panthers, and the 49ers. So and it's very possible that the Rams could be 10-4 coming into the last 3 weeks of the year. It really does start shaping up like that. And the last 3 weeks could be one of the most exciting NFC West races we've seen in years. Where you do not know who's going to come out of that, and that is 3 tough teams. Now, I will say the Seahawks and the Rams are both about a year ahead in their rebuild. So the fact that the 49ers are right there with them is very encouraging. Plus that you've lost Nick Bosa, you've lost Fred Warner, and you've lost Micah Williams.
Yeah.
These are this is really shaping out to be something exciting going forward. So I don't think Seattle's going to be resting their guys. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think they're going to be resting anybody.
We can hope it, but I don't think
Because
they do that.
even if they're even if they have the playoffs secured, they're going to be at least battling out LA for the division.
Right.
I mean, most likely. So, this is exciting to see. Now, again, a lot of things can happen between now and then. We're talking about 6 weeks of NFL football. 6 weeks ago, the 49ers were a team that was 4-1. We've been 3-3 since, or 3-1. We've been 3-3 since. So and we've seen a slew of injuries and then guys coming back. You don't know what's going to happen with Seattle's health. You don't know what's going to happen with LA's health. Now they've been very healthy going forward, but what we tend to see with Stafford's back issues is that they start catching up to them in December and January the last couple of years. And you just wonder, each year he gets older, does it become worse around this time of year? And that's going to be a real question. So anyways.
So, as we get into their run game, I think of Robert Saleh and I think of him making the stew and looking at the ingredients that he has to make it, as you are a big cook.
Well, and I made a stew yesterday. Many people know that I'm partnered with White Oak Pastures. It is a regenerative farm down in Bluffton, Georgia. I bought some beef shanks from them, 2 pounds of beef shanks, and I made myself a beef shank stew. It was awesome, really simple to make. You can get some high quality proteins there at whiteoakpastures.com/JD49, shipped straight to your door.
Boom. So as Robert Saleh looks at his ingredients that he did not get at White Oak, he got his at like mother of pearl or a different off shade of white. It's definitely not white
It's
because
that great value.
what he has to work with is like not from Safeway. It's like I don't know what it's from, and he's doing the best he can. There's some third downs where we really show up and we get pumped up and the camera goes right to him and he's pumped up. But overall, I don't know. What are you thinking? What are you seeing? What can we expect?
You know, Arizona's run defense looks a little bit better on paper than it has been, and a lot of that has to do with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, his issues haven't been running with the football. His issues have been how efficient he can be playing from the pocket. So when you look at the Cardinals offense, they are 4th in quarterback scrambles. Like quarterback scrambling, they are one of the best teams in the league. The 49ers, you know how we are defending quarterback scrambles?
It's bad.
It wasn't just a rhetorical question, Adam. I was asking for a guess.
No, I don't know.
The awkward pause.
Yeah, no,
He was like,
no, ask someone else.
okay. Okay. Right. Well, that's the entire time. The 49ers are 32nd in the league in defending quarterback scrambles.
It's bad.
So
It's bad,
once
dude.
you lose that element from Kyler Murray and you go to Jacoby Brissett, who is not a scrambler at all, that is a huge benefit for the 49ers run defense. When you look at every other metric, the 49ers are pretty much better against what the Cardinals do in every metric against the run. Now, again, that has been a lot of the season with Micah Williams and Alfred Collins. Alfred Collins did not play. I think they're still working through trying to get Keon White and Cleveland Farrell up to speed for what they do against the run. Remember, it went from you had Micah Williams almost the entire game against New York, and then he went out at the end of the game, and then you get 1 week of practice, and you're trying to insert Cleveland Farrell and Keon White into that role, which was different. But anyways, when you look at design runs, the Cardinals are 29th, we're 10th. And this is their offense, our defense. Rushing inside the tackles, they're 27th, we're 8th. Rushing in red zone, they're 23rd, we're 9th. Rushing versus the light box, they're 15th, we're 5th. Rushing under center, they're 26th, we're 8th. Overall rushing efficiency, they're 26th. We're 14th. Rushing out of shotgun is the only way that they have an advantage, where they're 17th, we're 26th. But rushing versus a stack box, they're 19th and we're 17th. So in almost every metric, the 49ers well outweigh the Cardinals outside of quarterback runs. And now that has been taken off the board. And then on top of that, they don't have their passing weapons that they have had in the past. So we're looking at Marvin Harrison. Dude had appendicitis, had his appendix out, which is just a reminder to everybody, don't be an appendix fan. Okay, we don't know everything that the appendix does, but we do know that if it goes haywire, that it just makes you sick and makes you hurt. Don't be an appendix fan. That is pretty much useless except for making trouble. Anyway,
go to appendectomy.com/JD to get your flyer on. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I was trying. I was trying.
Yeah, and
my
so,
job
like,
as a host.
When you look at their passing offense versus our pass defense, they have the advantage overall throughout the year, but a lot of that year was run with Marvin Harrison, their other receiver who's out as well. So, I mean, they don't really have any weapons in the passing game. They don't have Kyler Murray out there making some off-schedule plays. There's going to be Jacoby Brissett in there. Jacoby Brissett had one of the worst turnovers I've seen from a quarterback in a long time. If you watch their game last week where they got absolutely crushed versus Seattle, Jacoby Brissett had pressure coming straight at him, and he still managed to get a sack fumble while he was trying to throw the ball that was then and plastered into the turf that became a scoop and score for Seattle. It was one of the worst plays I've seen from a quarterback in a while. Just remember back to the last time we played Jacoby Brissett. We had Nick Sorensen as our defensive coordinator, and we played them last year when he was on the Patriots. Look at the Patriots now, and then think of what the Patriots were with Jacoby Brissett last year and what we did to them, and they only scored 6 points. This is working out well for the 49ers to be able to, contain the Cardinals offense. This could be the best defensive performance as far as when we look at the end of the game and the amount of points that they allowed. This could be the best defensive performance of the year, and that's not saying something about our defense.
So the chat is we're trying to just keep this tangent going on appendicitis and the stew and White Oak
Oh my
pastures.
goodness.
This has been a good tangent for the chat, I will say, in some time. All right, so now what about who's running the ball for Arizona these days? Even like they've had injuries as well. Are we, other than us not having a good defense, I don't think we're really worried about their offense, honestly, right? If we weren't so bad,
yeah. I mean,
defensively.
when you look at their carries, Kyler Murray is second on the team in carries.
Still, and he hasn't. I mean, that's wild.
Over the last number, I mean, he's got 29 carries, but and as far as yards, like he's got 173 yards. I mean,
hasn't played for a month.
Yeah, the Cardinals. I mean,
gosh, that's bad. Can you imagine if we were doing a Cardinals podcast? Like, all right, guys, we're excited for the game. Look at all our guys. Like, what do you say if you host a Cardinals podcast? Are you just like doing it from bed? Like, well, we're in bed. We're not feeling good. Like, can you imagine?
I mean,
doom and gloom.
Well, it's literally this just long list of kind of whoever here. When you look at the different things, like Kyler Murray, as far as their active players, is fourth in attempts, and he's second in yards. So, like they're kind of. It's hard to figure out who's gonna get the most, because Bam Knight has the most carries, but he's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry. He's had 48 carries for 157 yards. You look at their highest production guy has been Amari DeMarcado, who's got 233 yards. He's leading the team in yards, but he's only got 26 attempts. So it's 22 less attempts than the other guy. And nobody's got a lot of attempts. Trey Benson, he's got 29 attempts for 160 yards. Michael Carter's got 38 attempts for 101 yards. Nobody in their top attempts, their top 3 attempts, has been averaging more than 3.3 yards per carry. So, who's going to run the ball for them? I don't know. And whoever it's going to be, they're probably going to struggle. Especially because over the last 3 weeks, like half their rushing production has been from Kyle, or the last month and a half has been from Kyler Murray, who hasn't even played. Like, that's wild. I mean, it's just like they can't.
I'm laughing at the chat.
They can't run the ball. Cardinals podcast up today
with appendicitis, dude. And then we're talking about a Jets podcast.
So a couple years ago, I did try and get a Cardinals guy on to talk, and he
are there any?
There is.
Why?
That's a good question. People, look, Mr. loves company, but he wasn't allowed to because he was part of the Locked On crew, and they had like an exclusive thing he couldn't go on. But he'll show JETS suck. Yeah,
look, yesterday.
I will say the Jets are set up really well to blow all their draft picks on wasted guys.
Really like normal.
That have
call that a Thursday.
Yeah,
call that a Thursday in New York.
A slow Thursday.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of draft capital. They've got a lot of holes to fill. So I don't know. Anyways, when it comes to the Cardinals, I don't really know how they get rushing production.
Well, they will against us, right? They're gonna it's gonna be a breakout game for them.
No. I mean, we're gonna get Alfred Collins back in there. That's gonna be a big boon to the interior. They don't like this isn't instantly gonna make their guys better blockers on the edge. Their tackles don't block well. Their tight ends don't block well. They don't have the weapons then to attack you hard in play action consistently. Jacoby Brissett is not consistently converting third downs. So, you look at Jacoby Brissett, 60.9% completion percentage. That's not good enough. That's not going to do it. Like he's just, it's not good enough. When you look at their EPA, Kyler Murray is probably out the door in Arizona, and his EPA was plus 4.6. Jacoby Brissett minus 0.6. So that is a 5.2 EPA. That is expectation points expected points allowed. So it's basically how efficient is your offense. That is a wide margin. That's a wide margin. So like this is shaping up to be a game that Arizona just is going to struggle scoring points. I have a hard time seeing them scoring more than 17 points in this game.
Yeah. Through the air, they don't do anything and with, again, to bring back the appendicitis, that is what started it all, was their, Marvin Harrison's son, who has not been all that great against us in particular. It was to a point where you feel bad for the guy. Like, he missed so many that he was wide open. We're mad at the play. He's so wide open. And then, yes, he literally just dropped it. But they don't have him for this game. They don't have studs really anywhere other than tight end.
And they look for somehow
I like
the 49ers. Somehow the 49ers, now some of that's because we put so many guys on IR, but the 49ers injury report looks flipped of what it was for the first 2 months of the year.
Yeah.
Like the Arizona injury report. I mean, I can bring this up and show everybody because I won't get nailed for it. If we look at the injury report for each team, this is the Cardinals, this is the 49ers. The Cardinals have a huge injury report. If you just look at the did not participate, it goes from here up, and there's only one player on there that did not participate because he was not injury related. That's Josh Sweat. The 49ers did not have a single did not participate for their last practice report. You have Alpha Collins limited, Demo limited, Ricky Pearsall limited, D Winters limited. full participants. Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey was full because he's listed on the injury report because he gets a rest day every week. Brock Purdy, full participant. Then Trent Williams is listed as full because he gets a vet day each week.
Yep.
Those two guys really even, you don't count them on there. They had one player, Josh Sweat, is the only one that gets that for the Cardinals. Kelvin Beachum, it does say not injury related resting player, but groin. So he probably would otherwise be limited. Or he would be a full, but he is limited. But they say it's not injury related, but he's also got a groin, so I don't understand how that works. And then you have somebody with a personal matter was out, but also limited as full. That was earlier in the week. But if we look at some of their limited, Darius Robinson, defensive tackle, BJ Ojulari, Walter Nolan, Max Melton, Bam Knight, Will Hernandez.
Walter Nolan.
You have 3 guards here that were limited participants: Evan Brown, Hayden Connor, and Will Hernandez. Then you have Mac Wilson did not participate. Jonah Williams, their tackle, did not participate with a shoulder. Dadrian Taylor Demerson, one of their safeties, did not participate with an ankle. Will Johnson, their corner, did not participate with back and a hip. Marvin Harrison out with the appendicitis. Baron Browning, their linebacker, out with a concussion. They are beat up. They are a team that has just so many players that are there that are hurt. They have 6 guys out not practicing this week. And then they have another 7 guys that are limited in practice. So that have been limited in practice this week. So they are beat up. Their offensive line is beat up. Their defense is beat up. They are a beat up team. They don't have weapons on there. James Conner, obviously, not even including him, is out for the year. Then you have Kyler Murray not on there. He's on IR. So this is just it's setting up well for the 49ers. We should win this game, and it should be at least a 2-score win.
Yeah, but those interdivision, like we talked about this.
They can't
when we played
divisional
Arizona.
games. Divisional games can be weird, but then you can also have the 2022 49ers in Mexico City, where you play the Cardinals and you blow them out you absolutely just destroy them. Or you have the Cardinals last week against the Seahawks, who get absolutely dog walked worse than the 49ers did.
Yeah, that was bad.
Worse than the 49ers did versus the Rams.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams game was one that the 49ers at least came back and made it a game, and then things kind of fell apart at the end. The Seahawks Cardinals game was never
It was
even
28-0 or 21-0, something like that.
This was a game that was never after the first quarter was never within 2 scores. It was never within 2 scores. The 49ers game was within 1 score for 20 minutes of the game. I mean, it was there. So divisional matchups can be weird, but this is one that shouldn't be weird. It should be at least a 10-point victory in this game.
So keys to the game, I'm looking at Brock Purdy and sailing the ball, how he looks in the first quarter. Does he have the Brett Favre jitters? Remember Brett Favre getting into his prime, he would always sail the ball in the first quarter, and he had to get hit really hard, or he had to just go through the first quarter, and then he was like money for the rest of the game. Is Brock going to do that? Is he going to settle in? Is he going to complete 11 for 11, his first 11 passes? Is he going to look sharp, but maybe we have a few 3 and outs, but it's not because of Brock doesn't look good? All of that, I think, lands on how Brock takes that in. He hasn't played for a while. That's one of my huge takeaways. I assume you don't disagree.
Honestly, if I look how this kind of ends up matching out, I'm going to say first thing I'm going to do with Shanahan is I'm going to try and move the launch point on a number of early plays. If Brock is feeling healthy, use that mobility. We're going to see some slide concepts early. If they try and bring a defensive end unblocked, then you give them a quick outlet around to get the ball in George Kittle's hands, or Juwan Jennings or Kendrick Bourne coming off that edge, leaking out. So, or even Juszczyk. I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're and trying to establish the run there, so that you can do what the Rams did to us, which is establish that run, but use those slides to start loosening that up first. move the launch point so Brock isn't just kind of sitting back there where he could get stepped on, by one of his own linemen. And you got those guys like Walter Nolan and Calais Campbell who are pushing the middle. I think you want to get them moving and hesitant to move, especially the second level. And then you establish the run game. Then you go play action, and that play action then keeps your offensive line from just letting these guys blow right past you and go blow up Brock. So I think that's how it's gonna go. And I think it's gonna look like 49ers football is kind of what I feel like this game is gonna do.
So is there something else from Arizona's side that you're looking at as far as, well, if they are able to, say, control the line of scrimmage on both sides, is there something that you've seen that Arizona maybe is underrated, or something that you're like, well, keep your eye on this? I don't know if I see anything. I'm being honest, but that's why I want to ask you.
I mean, I'm trying not to just like bury the
No, be
Arizona
honest.
Cardinals.
If there's nothing that you really see,
I
that's what we want to do on the
well,
show. I mean,
so
I'm just
Farscape
asking.
has an interesting prediction here. He says, I'm predicting Brock has an Alex Smith like game when he threw one completion. I'm going to say that Brock Purdy is going to have a Brock Purdy game. The 49ers record holder for completion percentage in a game is Brock Purdy. And you know who it was against? The Arizona Cardinals. He went 20 of 21. We forget that was during October of 2023. It was just 2 years ago that Brock did that. He went 20 of 21. I believe if he had completed one more pass, it would have been an NFL record.
And it was a oh man, was it a drop in the flat?
No. It was one that it bounced just short of Christian McCaffrey, and it was basically a throwaway. So like it was, yeah. I mean it was an incredible game. He had one incompletion, and that was it. And that was against the Cardinals. So same scheme. So it is possible that Brock has a really strong game here. I do think that we want to kind of move the launch point for him early, and don't just let that defensive line try and rush, because Calais Campbell and Walter Nolan, I do believe, are going to be an issue for our interior offensive line. I don't love the idea of Spencer Burford, who's not great in pass blocking in space or against Walter Nolan, and I don't love the idea of Jake Brendel versus Calais Campbell. That is, like, Jake Brendel's had to play Calais Campbell a number of times, and that is a bad matchup.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, like, look, we all love to hate on Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel has 32-inch arms. Calais Campbell has like 34-inch arms. It's just a matter of size matchup that Calais Campbell is going to be able to control and dictate that matchup if they can isolate him on Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel's literally going to be like T-Rex arms. He won't be able to touch Calais Campbell, and Calais Campbell can just move him around.
We have a T-Rex.
Look, it is that's the biggest deficiency as far as physical measurables that Jake Brendel has is short arms. Chris Forster's talked about that a number of times over the years. That's the thing. He just has shorter arms, and it's hard for him to get into guys before they get into him. And so that's what you see with Calais Campbell. That's a matchup they're going to want to attack. So how do you keep that from happening? You move the launch point and you run the ball. And so therefore then you don't let him just reach, grab, and shuck and go after Brock Purdy. So yeah. Does Hennessy have longer arms? I don't know. Look, I know a lot of people have been pushing the Hennessy over Brendel. I have not been that impressed with Hennessy this year. If you look at the blocked field goal against the Rams, that was against Hennessy. They came right through. They pancaked him, put him on his rear end, and blocked the field goal. Hennessy has just had some mental lapses where, I mean, go back to the Houston game. Their defensive tackle was unblocked to the point that he thought it was a screen pass. And he stopped rushing and that was Matt Hennessy's guy. Yeah. Matt Hennessy has not been, it hasn't been like this, huge surge for Matt Hennessy. We were playing, everybody goes, well, we ran the ball really well against New York. New York was the worst run defense in the league. And so, yeah, go back to the Houston game. Think about the Houston game. And that is a Houston game with Matt Hennessy, Rams game versus with Brendel. Those are a good comparison of where you see that. I don't see Hennessy as this big upgrade. I just don't. I do wonder if the 49ers this offseason are going to maybe, if Tyler Linderbaum makes it to free agency, do they go after him? I don't know. I don't know if he actually gets into makes it to free agency. We'll see.
Yeah. So I think I know you're, based on what you said, you don't think they'll score more than 17 and you think it'll be a 2-score game. So let's get our score predictions. I will start by saying I think it's a 1-score game, but not like a 1, 2, or 3-point game. So I am gonna go 24-16. Niners get the dub. Do you say, I could see you going like 27-17? What
I'm
are you
going
thinking?
27-16.
Okay.
Just I it's either going to be two touchdowns and two points because Gannon's going to try and get every last point he can, or it's going to be 1 touchdown and 3 field goals, 3 long field goals. Is kind of what I feel like. I don't see them scoring. Like, I don't see them getting within the 20 more than 4 times. I just don't see it. I see them getting one like play where somebody misses a tackle and they end up, and Trey McBride or somebody, gets in and it's kind of like one of those, how the crap did that happen? Could you give that up on defense? There's going to be one of those at least.
Yeah,
There just
for
is
sure.
with this young defense.
28 to
But as far as
17,
our
31 to
offense
13.
versus their defense, I just don't see them as having this ability to really just take over the game and stop us from moving the ball. I see them. I don't see a good matchup for George Kittle. I don't see a good matchup for Christian McCaffrey. I don't see a good matchup for Ricky Pearsall. If he's able to move like he can, I don't see them. I see them being able to use Jordan Watkins a little bit more. I don't see a good matchup for Juwan Jennings or Demarcus Robinson as far as that kind of physical player in the secondary that can get tight in them and deal with their size and physicality. I just do not see a good matchup. The only matchup I think Arizona has a good matchup on is their defensive line front versus our offensive line. Josh Sweat against Colton McKivitz is not something I'm in love with. Walter Nolan versus Spencer Burford or Jake Brendel is not something I'm in love with. Calais Campbell versus either one of those two, really, I think I think Burford can handle Calais Campbell a little bit better. He's got longer arms. And the matchups I've seen with him, I do worry more about Purdy versus Calais Campbell because of those long arms. And he's kind of been dealing with some anchorage, but Purdy actually looks like he's finally getting healthy.
Yeah,
so
he does seem to
his
be
play
getting
has
better.
started to really ascend through this time. So like I just look at these matchups and I go, I don't see anywhere where this Cardinals defense is just going to really, really give us fits moving the ball. The 49ers, I have a hard time seeing us not getting within the 25 times in some sort of way. Either that being explosive that's all the way into the end zone. I'm just meaning like I don't see them stopping us from having a ball carrier take the ball past their 20-yard line less than 5 times. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree. That's what I'm hoping for as well. We have 28 to 17 and 31 to 13. Hit us up in the chat what your score predictions are. Johnny, side note, I want to leave you kind of with this. On Sports Idiot Nation's episode today that came out about a couple hours ago, I started by talking about the penny is no longer
No longer a thing.
And so
And the last ones minted were sent out with serious armored cars because they knew everybody was going to try and get the last pennies minted.
That's crazy. So my question,
so you can't say a penny for your thoughts anymore.
Well, right. That was our last time saying it on Sports Idiot Nation. You'll catch that. But we talked about what is something then, because in 10 years we might joke and say, oh, we should bring back the penny. Well, what is something right now that we would say to bring back. And T.I. mentioned those Columbia, for a penny, get your like 10 CDs, thus who are older than 35-ish will remember that. I'm curious, what is something that you would want to bring back that's not really a thing anymore?
Are we talking like 49er stuff or just in general?
What comes to your mind?
Again, 49er stuff or in general?
You tell me. What was the first thing that was it 49ers
Um,
that came to your mind? Because it could be
man,
anything.
I'm just trying to think, like, if there's something from a bygone era that I would bring back. Um,
Yeah, and let us know in the chat. BTL with Tony says bring back the 90s in general. Like, I'm in for that.
yeah.
Snap bracelets, Zubaz pants,
Gosh.
pegging your pants, all day breakfast at
I mean,
McDonald's
I don't know.
Playlands.
I'm not a huge person that kind of like looks at the past and says, okay, there's things that that were really great that we don't have anymore, because there's a reason we don't have them anymore. Is at some point it wasn't
Fad ran
actually
out.
that great. It was those fat, like if you remember, had the GLH cans, which was the great looking hair. It was hair in a can. I don't think anybody's missing that. Well, maybe Adam is. But like, I mean, I don't really miss CDs. Like, it's really convenient to be able to take as much music as you want around on
On
your phone and
Spotify.
Bluetooth. I
Yeah.
don't miss cassette tapes, and because then they would always get stuck
Oh,
in there, and
those
you'd
are the
pull them
worst.
out, and
You get a
the
pencil in
ribbon
there.
would be way there. Yeah, you had
Yeah.
to use the pencil eraser to rewind it. I mean, if there was something from the past that I could bring back, that I would.
Montana and Young.
I mean,
I know
yeah, I would
some
bring
Niner
Montana and
fans are
Young back. I mean, they're still
bring
with
back
us.
Atari.
Um, Atari, you can get an Atari now with all the games on
For
one
like
thing. You don't have
for
all
like
the
$25.
cartridges.
For like
Yeah. My
$25.
wife bought a Super Nintendo on Facebook Marketplace. It was like $20. It's this little thing, and it literally has every Super Nintendo game and regular Nintendo game ever made on it. Like, I don't miss that. Like, this one is. I mean, I can still play all the games all I want.
Ooh, Taco Bell.
I mean,
Oh, not
Taco Bell used.
Candlestick. Juice says Candlestick. Yikes. Don't bring that back with the wind. Why would you put a stadium over
Look,
there?
okay. I will say I went to a game the last year that Candlestick was open, in 2013, and I think I didn't like. I kept hearing that they wanted a new stadium. They wanted a new stadium. They wanted a new stadium, and I kept thinking, why would you move on from Candlestick? That is so iconic, and it was
Yeah.
because of all the moments that were made in Candlestick. I got some really good tickets. I was sitting in the 7th row at the 35-yard line. I think it was on seat like H or G, something like that. On the visitor side, we were playing the Arizona Cardinals in 2013. Vernon Davis was just coming back from a hamstring injury. Colin Kaepernick, I believe in that game, he hit Vernon for like a 35-yard touchdown down the left side, if I remember right. I also remember Corey Lemonnier, defensive end out of Auburn, had his only career sack in that game, and I believe it was a safety, if I remember right. But anyways, I went to that game, and suddenly I realized why they wanted a new stadium so bad. If you'd ever been to a game in Candlestick, like the area it was in was not conducive to mass traffic at all. To go to the restrooms from where I was, you had to go down onto the field, cross where the Cardinals players came through to their locker room, and go under the bleachers on the other side where it was a dirt floor. And it was like one of those pee troughs that was there. I mean, and it was almost like something out of a horror movie. The light was flickering in there. It was super dark. Like, and to go to concessions, you had to climb 50 rows of stairs back, and you went on that concourse that was only like 10 feet wide, and there was only one concession stand every like 100 yards around the ring. Like, So the lines were just this big giant glob of humanity that everyone was trying to figure out, am I in line first or you in line first? I don't know. And you just kind of move it in there. So like I went, okay, I can understand why they wanted a new stadium. They need the great moments that Candlestick had. That's what made Candlestick great, was not the stadium itself. And I think that speaks to what makes sports so great, is it's not our stadiums. The Cowboys have one of the best stadiums in the world, and that stadium is not legendary. The Candlestick was one as far as facilities, one of the worst in the NFL, but it's
about the team,
the moments that happened in that stadium.
Yeah.
So, if there's anything we can bring back, it's bring back some really great moments.
Bring back
for our stadiums.
That love.
Oh my gosh. If there was like any single thing that I would bring back from a bygone era.
Go. Whoa.
Boom. That like we used to have that I think could be very beneficial today that maybe we've forgotten about. I mean, I don't know. I think so. If I could bring one thing back, it would probably be TGIF. Like that's the thing I would bring back as
with
far as
dinosaurs, which there was kind of some phases of it.
I'm more looking at like the early 90s, just out of the idea. And again, it was based around a cultural idea that gathering with your family to have like that family night of, okay, we're going to all have this entertainment together, and it's going to be centered around the family. I think that would be something that I would like to see more common, which everybody can create in their own way. But it felt like there's a lot of good memories tied to all that for people. Like a lot of people have. That's why those shows even today have a really strong, like, let's bring them back. Let's do a revival. Let's do a revival of Home Improvement. Let's do a revival of these different ones. My wife and I were even gone back and we were watching some Family Matters with the Winslows. That, and like I do, like, yes, a lot of it was cheesy, but I just, as a kid, those are some of my favorite memories of like the anticipation that was going to happen. You knew Friday was going to be great. That's what I would like to, I would want, but things have become so individual marketized. It just, I don't think that can happen. That's be one thing for me, but anyways, that's just me.
Yeah. I love it. The chat was going crazy. This was a really good episode of Sports Idiot Nation where we really get into that as well. It was one of our truly one of our better episodes. So check out Sports Idiot Nation, just like you check out the Giant Dale Football Academy podcast. Sports Idiot Nation's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, so we got our predictions. I'm gonna have some game day nachos, I think, at the folks' house. I'm excited. We're ready to go.
I might have to bust out the game day nachos. I will be honest. The last 6 weeks I haven't been consistent, and the 49ers haven't been consistent. I got to step up my game.
Yeah, need more out of you.
We ask everybody to pick it up a little bit. I've got to step up my game.
Dawn Dell is counting on it. She is counting on it. So, all right. Whew, let's shoot for a victory Monday. Great show today out of all of you faithful. Gotta give you guys in the chat. Gotta give you your props. You really came through on this episode. We were just innocent bystanders of the greatness of the faithful. So thank you for hanging out with us. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Niners.